All right, we're going to continue on, and we're going to start with our water resources budgets, starting on page D47. Director De Leon, keep going.
Thank you. So same approach here with water resources. The department has 9 budget units. The department has a number of responsibilities, and I'll just hit some of the highlights. The management of the quagga zebra mussel prevention program, oversight of lake bed encroachments, including leases for existing structures and permitting of new structures, perform the activities of the Lake County Watershed Protection District, which includes, but is not limited to, the Middle Creek Restoration Project, Highland Springs Recreation Area, stormwater management, groundwater management, water quality monitoring and improvement, and flood emergency response. We manage 4 separate flood control districts, and one of the biggest changes to this department for fiscal year 24-25 is the transfer of the National Flood Insurance Program to community development. We have been working together on this transition for the past couple of months, and in my opinion, CDD staff is well prepared to take on this program, and I will give a shout to CDD Director Maria Turner for the vision to see that this program would be better served in her department, and I'm confident that her staff has the ability to run this program and actually improve it. We were on a meeting day before yesterday with a member of FEMA who is very excited about working with CDD staff to tackle some of the properties that just require some minor improvements and might even see some changes in our community rating system rating, which would be an additional benefit to rate payers or folks who have flood insurance policies in the county. So pretty excited about that and that opportunity, and I'm hopeful that they're going to be able to take advantage of that. The department has 13 full-time positions, with 12 of those funded. The water resources engineer was unfunded this year, and there are 3 vacancies in the department, a deputy director and 2 water resources field maintenance technicians. They will likely begin recruitment for a field maintenance technician. We just recently promoted one to a program coordinator, or a technician, I'm sorry. We just promoted one, so we'll be doing that recruitment here shortly. And your board approved on Tuesday a contract with Coastland for engineering services for water resources. Again, due to the challenges of trying to find engineers to come to Lake County, we brought in Coastland to provide that staff augmentation for engineering services for water resources. So those are overview and the vacancies. A lot of these budget units have reserves, so I'll try to go quickly through those. Budget 1672 is lake bed management. It has a restricted reserve of $14,625. And so that I don't repeat myself on every single one of these, the purpose of these budget reserves is to provide emergency source of funding for any unforeseen expenditures. 1673 is also contains a restricted reserve of $112,000, $112,001, and again, emergency source of funding. Budget unit 1674 is flood corridor maintenance, and it has a general reserve of $750,000. The flood corridor maintenance budget unit 1674 is to provide maintenance of grounds and properties that we've purchased for the Middle Creek project. And when we purchase a property, the state allows us to take a percentage of whatever the sale was and retain it for maintenance. And so we put those funds in the reserves, and in this year, to reduce our fund balance, we increased that general reserve by $485,228, again, to get it out of the fund balance and put it in reserve. But those funds are generated through the sale of properties within the project limits, and that funding is provided by the state. 8101 is Flood Zone 1, Adobe Creek and Highland Springs. There's a restricted operation and maintenance reserve of $19,309, and again, emergency source of funding. Budget Unit 8104, Flood Zone 4, Scotts Creek. This budget has 3 separate reserves. It has a restricted operation and maintenance reserve of $94,000, a flood fight reserve of $800, and a groundwater recharge reserve of $11,105. These reserves have been in place for a very long time. Staff did some research. We couldn't really find clear purpose for some of these. Obviously, operation and maintenance is pretty clear, but some of the other stuff we're a little unclear on. But the reserve funds exist nonetheless, and because they're reserves, any expenditure of them will require board action. So in the future, should funding become necessary and they need to take money out of reserves, they're going to need to come to the board to do anything with those. Budget Unit 8105 is Flood Zone 5, Kelsey Creek, and that has 4 separate reserves: general reserve of $11,851, an operation and maintenance reserve of $4,024, a flood fight reserve of $495, and a modification reserve of $1,743. Again, these reserves have been in place for a number of years, predate anyone in the department, including me. And so the first 3 reserves are pretty straightforward. We presume that the modification reserve was money that was set aside, likely to fund a future Prop 218 effort. And that's something that's probably going to need to occur in the very near future, is a lot of these flood zones don't generate enough revenue to sustain their operations. Budget Unit 8107 has 2 reserves. It has a general reserve that has $25 in it, and a restricted reserve of $264,243. Staff tells me that final budget, we're going to be recommending moving the $25 into the other reserve and kind of consolidating them. Budget Unit 8108, Flood Zone 8, Upper Middle Creek Basin. That budget contains 4 separate reserves. However, only one of those reserves actually contains funds, and it is a capital improvement reserve account that contains $3,099. And again, it is to provide emergency source of funding should there something arise. And while we are on Budget Unit 8108, there was a question about public comment. And yes, there was a question about 8108. A constituent was having difficulty locating that. She and I have had some email conversations. I understand she did locate the information. I also provided some information from our preliminary budget that included additional detail on the appropriations and the expenditures. So I trust that that question has been resolved. So, she's here, so I suppose if there's questions, we'll deal with those. But public comment has been addressed. And then finally, Budget Unit 8109. This budget has 5 separate reserves. A general reserve of $89,997, a restricted equipment reserve of $27,420, a flood fight reserve of $7,766, a flood matching reserve of $1,175, and a restoration project reserve of $253,753. And with that, I'll be happy to try to answer any questions.
I just wanted to go back to the collection of the past due lake bed fees and where we are with that.
Staff's made a big effort towards that. If you're asking about a particular property, they have entered into and signed agreements. We've received checks from them, and they are working towards getting their past due balance paid.
What's the timeline for that to
We
get?
gave them 4 years.
Okay.
So they have to maintain their current, to pay their current annual, and then we broke up the past due amount into manageable amounts for them. And and they are current.
Okay, great, thank you.
And you sent me an email about that, and I apologize for not getting a response, but glad we got it
Yep.
handled.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments regarding these budget items? I actually had a similar question, but I guess more along the vein of, I see it kind of like property taxes. You have to pay your annual fee in order to continue using. Do you know what percentage pays? Is it the majority? Is it 75%, 80%? Like, is there a need to kind of review how we're going about collecting these things, because maybe it's not happening in the appropriate and efficient way that's within the capacity of your staff to be able to go after these individuals? Just kind of curious where we are, and because we can ask about one, but I'm curious about all. That's quite a number.
Right. You got a feel for percentage?
I would say about 90%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Lisa is saying that about 90% of the folks that have lake bed leases are paying. And I think that number reflects, there's a lot of turnover in purchasing and folks that walk away from properties. And so I think that you're seeing that 10% is a combination of those turnover. We get people all the time that had no idea that they had a lake bed lease. They buy a piece of property, they think, great, I've got a lake bed or a lakefront home, and I have this beautiful dock, and this is wonderful. And then they get a bill from us, and they didn't know that they had it, either because they didn't review their title report all that well, or it was never disclosed. Who knows? But there's a fair amount of folks that are surprised that they have a lake bed lease. And so staff is constantly updating those and making sure that we're current with that. So it's an ongoing effort. But I would say that it's the majority of lake bed leases are paid.
Okay. I don't think I had anything else specific to water resources. Definitely a lot more work being asked of your department in light of the hitch emergency. Obviously, the Middle Creek is also a large project, but that's been kind of looming, and the process had been gone through for many years. And I know that we also saw a slight increase in your staffing in order to try to accommodate to the needs of the hitch emergency. I guess we just got to see how that works out and how that plays out as we get a better understanding of what is needed from those staff members in order to really move things along. So I just wanted to at least mention that. And if there's Supervisor Green?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize for not catching up to this. So on page D323 in flood zone 4, which I believe is Scotts Valley, under line 23-80, still left over from the 23-24 budget is 165 allocation that former Supervisor Scott had put in. I've been going back and forth with staff on reshaping that, and I think we had a tentative agreement to leave the bigger chunk of this in this so we can do a cost share or something with whatever the latest project is coming down in that. But we also intended to put about $25K or so in a different budget line item for Highland Springs. So I don't know if that, it doesn't look like it translated into this, and I don't know if we need to lock it in before September, but do you recall some of that back and forth about?
Yeah, I am
I
aware
think
of
I
a
was
lot of that
working
back and
with
forth,
Angelo.
and, you know, when did we turn these in? April? So, you know, things have happened since April, and so if we need to modify that, I'm sure we can work with admin to get any adjustments made before the final. That shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, I just don't want to make sure I want to make sure we're not locking things in. This has been lingering for a year plus, and I think we have a roadmap, but I don't see the roadmap in here.
Okay. We were just perhaps trying to take advantage of and get more money out of you, Supervisor Green.
Good luck with that.
Every little bit counts. All right, let's open it up for the public. Anyone wish to speak on this item? No hands in Zoom. Please come on up in the chamber.
Thank you, Chair Sabater. Julia Carrera, Upper Lake, here representing the Upper Lake Community Services District Formation Committee. Thank you, Supervisor Simone, for mentioning my comment, making sure it was being covered. I appreciate it. And thank you, Mr. Green, for forwarding my comment to Mr. De Leon. Mr. De Leon provided Form number 3 and Form number 5 on Budget Unit 8108 that has some significant detail. Very much appreciated. Thank you, Mr. De Leon. Do have some clarification questions. Was hoping maybe there would be someone in the department at another time that could meet with us to go through those clarification questions or send them in an email, whatever works for you, so this board doesn't have to sit further through that discussion and can move forward. Some general comments. Number one, welcome to Mr. Marsh and Mr. Upadahoy, and I hope I didn't brutalize his name too bad. I look forward to working with both of those directors as we move forward. Regarding the department overview, I don't mean to be a Karen here, but the levies are currently structurally sound, it says, and I refer everyone to this feasibility study that was done in the winter of 2021 that says something different. Under the accomplishments, I was wondering what the work was that was done in 23 and 24 on the Upper Lake feasibility study. We don't remember any significant work, and perhaps we're missing something, but we'd like to know what that significant work is. And we'd also like to know what the other 3 reserve line items are called in the reserves, so that we can, as we work on our LAFCO budget, can carry that information over. Thank you for your time. That's all.
Mr. De Leon, if you want an opportunity to respond to some of those questions, I think we just read out the titles of the reserves. If you can maybe
I
just-
think we can provide that additional information. That shouldn't be, that's not a problem.
Okay. And as far as the accomplishments in 23, 24,
Well, I think, I'm not sure today, and this budget hearing is the appropriate place to discuss that. There were a couple of public hearings that highlighted the work that was done on that report, and, you know, that was public information. So we can certainly get a summary of that
perfect.
to the folks that are interested in it. Be happy to do that.
And I saw-
And as far as the request to work with staff moving forward and getting additional information, we're happy to do that.
And thank you very much. I was going to say, I saw you nodding your head during that part of the conversation of being accessible.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that. Anything further from anybody? Bringing it back?
Just real quick, the statement about the levee maintenance, structurally sound, they were in the report that said that they are structurally sound.
Again,
Not the spot?
But personally, I don't think it's the spot.
Okay.
There's a lengthy report about the condition of the levees. There are obviously differing opinions about the report, and I don't think today is the time or the place to debate those, with all due respect.
Okay.
There's nothing further, Chair. Move to approve budget units 1672, 1673, 1674, 8101, 8104, 8105, 8107, 8108, 8109, and I don't believe there were any amendments.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And before we go, just like to thank the administrative staff for all their assistance with our budgets. And, the development of a budget is a department-wide effort. Everyone gets involved, all the division heads, just every staff member has some contribution. And today, or this year was no different. It was made a little more challenging with the separation of the departments and new leadership, but the staff did an outstanding job. And just like to specifically acknowledge Alicia and Sylvia Valadez and Jacqueline Storrs. So thank you very much, Board. Appreciate it.
And just for you, real quick, thank you. I know we did this on Tuesday, but thank you for your efforts in Public Works and Water Resources, and we are looking forward to seeing Glenn March in the position and also Dr. Upadhyay, and we will provide them the same level of support we've been providing you in the past as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
And it will be weird going through budget hearings without you.
Your smile seems somewhat sarcastic.
You can come back anytime.
Maybe I'll come next year and watch.